can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Akos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Akos.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning. This is the Conservative Syndicate. We're glad to have you with us this afternoon. And greetings all around this great republic of ours. And, of course, around the world where it's prime time, sometime, all the time, someplace. And we're glad to have you with us this great afternoon here. Kind of a melancholy day out here in California. We're starting to get the June gloom in the middle of November out here. And cloudy, but geez, I just wish it would rain. We need some rain out here, and it's just not happening. It rains every place but Southern California. It's just amazing. Anyway, glad to have you with us today. And
that's not true, John.
What's that?
It hasn't rained here where I'm at in almost 2 months now.
Well, it hasn't rained real good here in almost 2 years. We haven't, we really have, we've had some showers, but, out in California, the irony, the climate change capital of the world, and one of the things out here I just love is that if it gets too foggy and maybe there's a little drizzle, we get the local newscasters here on Storm Watch. I love that. It's just... I'm like, storm watch, what kind of storm are you talking about? It doesn't storm out here. Not in our neck of the woods anyways. So
That's great.
Anyway, yeah, I just wish it would. Wish it would.
I think I'm going to start a GoFundMe page so I can get a whole bunch of safety pins for these little kids' diapers.
Oh, I know. Isn't it just? It's just so classic. Just classic that this is how we're preparing the leaders of tomorrow, my friends. Play-Doh, Legos, coloring books, and making Post-it note boards. And I just like, okay, I can just see the next generation once they move into positions of leadership, if that's what you want to call it. What are you going to do? Is that how you're going to hold your G20 conferences?
Yeah, I'm looking at this guy Clay Rutledge. He writes this thing. It's a university themselves have been teaching students to see themselves as victims. More and more colleges are creating bias response teams that students can contact if they feel they've been victimized by microaggressions.
Amazing. This conference I was at, I off the top of my head just mentioned climate change because I guess it's just something that sticks in my craw that what we call weather, everybody else seems to think is somehow manipulated through, just the oppressive humanity that we are. That kind of thing. And we got to talking about this. We're talking about droughts and stuff like that and over the weekend. And we were out there floating these theories here. I don't know how many of you out there listening to us are biblical scholars, but one of the things there is in the 24th chapter of Matthew where Jesus talks about the end times, some of the things to look for when the end times are coming. And one of the things he talks about are things like calamities and catastrophes, meaning nature. There'll be earthquakes, things like this. There'll be pestilence. He gives us certain indicators. And we were talking about California specifically. And we're talking about, we have this long drought out here in California. And somebody brought it up. Well, maybe this is some form of judgment that we have because we read all throughout the Bible that God brought drought on certain places. He brought pestilence. He brought insects, locusts, the whole 9 yards. And, it was a jocular conversation. It was like nobody was really taking anything super serious. But I said, well, maybe that's what climate change is. Maybe climate change, what we're talking about is the spiritual climate manifesting in physical, because that's a biblical belief, but people like myself, is that that's what calamities and earthquakes and things like that are. It's just, it's science and it's geography and everything else, but what triggers these things? Well, okay, it's this plate rubbing against that plate, or it's, the rising tide or the full moon or whatever, and I'm sure that plays into it. But I just thought maybe that's what we need to do as Christians. Maybe we need to start selling the idea that climate change is a spiritual thing rather than a scientific or physical thing. It's just like politics. The spiritual world plays out in politics. Perhaps that's the same thing when it comes to weather. Maybe. So that it may be. My point being is it may be man-made, but it's because of man's immorality rather than his wanting to drive carbon fossil-fueled vehicles, that kind of thing. So we were just having some fun with that, which is easy to do because liberalism today is the ultimate comedy, tragedy, theater, and there's so much of it out there. And it's just like, you look at these university campuses and stuff and you see what's going on out there. I cannot for the life of me imagine going into a college campus and asking where they keep the Play-Doh. I just, oh man, we are just in a weird place right now.
Where's my chalk? I want to draw happy pictures of little flowers on the sidewalk. Okay, I'm just a little bit frightened right now. And then you should go to verse 11 in Matthew 24.
Yeah.
And false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many. And I think we've seen a bunch of that. Al Gore.
One of these things, if you thought about this, Joe, you look at these protesters, most of them are millennials, all right?
Most of them didn't probably vote either.
Yeah, probably didn't. But, one of the things that has caught my eye, and I haven't really spent the time to really try to analyze it or not, what does Black Lives Matter have to do with racism by Trump supporters? I have, in all the things that went on during his campaign, and all the accusations that were out there, I don't understand how the Black Lives Matter people took the most offense to any and all comments that were misconstrued by the media about Donald Trump when he never really specifically ever said anything bad about the black community other than that they'd been screwed. I never heard him say, let's send all the blacks back to Africa, or they're all rapists or they're all drug addicts or anything. I can't remember him ever making any comments directly associated with being black. And yet they seem to have taken the most offense at everything that was, misconstrued by the media, because most of it was misconstrued. It was out of context. And like you mentioned yesterday, the white nationalist movement. Who's headed that up? Where did that come from? I still can't. You gave me something to think about. I rolled that in my head all night. And I'm thinking, is there any whitenationalist.org out there? I don't think there is.
It came from the likes of CNN. That's what it came from. It didn't come from any other place. It came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. That's where it came from.
Oh, yeah, but nobody really has ever defined it. It's one of those catch-all phrases. We just, anything that we want to bark about, we'll just throw that in there, okay?
It's exactly like that. The alt-right. What the hell's the alt-right? There is no alt-right.
No.
It's just another thing that came from the Hillary Clinton campaign. They threw that crap out there. And the media.
Well,
the media just picks up on it and runs with it, and now it's like, oh, it's a lexicon now.
Yeah, but they were saying, well, the white nationalism. I just hear while we were talking, just popped it up threw it in my search engine. An ideology that advocates a racial definition of national identity. Proponents of the ideology identify with and are attached to the concept of a white nation. Now, I know that there are organizations out there that kind of think like this, the KKK, the Aryan Brotherhood and stuff, but nowhere in the conservative movement is there the idea or concept of an all-white nation. It isn't there. It isn't, we're not looking, this isn't Hitler. This isn't Nazism. We're not trying to create a racial or DNA perfected society or anything like that. That's what liberals do. So it's just something, I'm going to have to dig more into this because this is just
made up crap. I mean, Trump's campaign never said everybody that's not white can get out now. Yeah. Everybody, if you're not white, get out. You're not welcome here. That never happened. It's never happened.
He never said, let's build a wall around Chicago.
700 years.
Yeah, he never said, let's build a wall around Chicago and New York.
Oh, yeah, that's Rahm Emanuel.
Yeah.
We're all going to be a sanctuary city and always a sanctuary. Okay, Rahm, you go ahead and do that, buddy. I've got a feeling that you're going to lose this one.
All right. Look, it's time. We got to take our first break. Boy, that was a fast 10 minutes. We'll be back in just a few minutes here. We got Don Dix from Act for America checking in with us the second hour. And Joe and I are just going to bounce some things around here that we talked about a little bit about yesterday and add to it. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. 866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And I just looked up during the break here. There are some people out there who do identify as white nationalists. Okay, now I'm going to give you a source here, and it's not the best source. In fact, I would not use this source on any other terms except the fact that the man that they write about here calls himself a white nationalist. So the rest of the article is pretty much bunk, but at least this one guy claims he is I guess the most prominent white nationalist out there. You remember back during the primary, it happened out here in California. Trump's party we're picking delegates out here, and they picked a gentleman by the name of William Johnson. And it turned out that this William Johnson is a prominent member of what's called the American Freedom Party. And he claims to be a white nationalist. Okay, the organization, the American Freedom Party, is a group that exists to represent the political interests of white America. Okay, now, having said that, I guess he kind of helped the left by coming out and I believe he resigned once the big was a big stink made about him getting chosen. The Trump campaign said there was a database error or something, that he got picked. They didn't really know who he was or whatever, and he ended up resigning. But I remember there was a big stink about this guy.
Yeah.
Okay, but from him came the label white nationalists. Okay, and then the left has grabbed that and just run with it. Okay, and they've used it to blanket anybody that was against Hillary Clinton. Basically, if you were a Trump supporter, you're a white nationalist because of your white privilege. Okay, and you desire that everything be based on white heritage, all this other stuff. And we know that's bunk. But, I guess that's where they seize that name from. And they just, that's what the left does. You have a trophy wife and you just, everything is attached to that. That kind of thing. You wouldn't get a wife like that if you weren't a billionaire, that kind of stuff. So anyway. So... anyhow, I just, that's for your information, out there. And it's really funny. They got a nice little graphic here of the KKK with the normal cross, the normal cross that the KKK uses. It looks almost like an iron cross. Well, they got moved a little bit on this KKK uniform where it forms a T instead of a cross. Just kind of, I don't know. These people are just so absolutely out of their freaking minds. It's just I don't know how we could be that stupid as a people. How can we put a man on the moon and not figure out Hillary Clinton is corrupt? How do you not figure that out? That kind of stuff out,
John. And it's like, how did we put a man on the moon and people kept re-electing Harry Reid to the Senate?
Yeah, or John McCain for that matter, huh?
Yeah, I mean, come on. That is Gruberism, in full flight right there. Just dumb enough to do it.
But one thing in the press conference yesterday, we can talk a little bit about that right now. If you really listen carefully to Obama's press conference yesterday, he pretty much laid the blame on Hillary Clinton's defeat on Hillary Clinton. And you got to kind of read between you got to understand the way liberals talk.
that when they're criticizing their own, they try to make it sound ambiguous and generalized and everything. They don't really want to ever mention names.
Uh-huh.
But there was a section in there. Let's see. I'm seeing if I can find it here.
Well, let's give this guy credence. Here's what he said in this: a federal government is working better and more efficiently. Really? Right now? The federal government's working better and more efficiently right now. That's crap. Here, let me give you an example of why I say that's crap. I had to go buy some HDMI cables for my unit. Okay? I was forced to buy HDMI 2 cables, 10-foot cables, 10 foot long. Cost me nearly $100. And all it was, I went to the same place that they these people bought these from, and they bought them for $6 a whack. They bought them for $12. I had to pay almost $100 for them because I had to buy them because they were a woman-owned, small, disadvantaged business, because I had to buy them that way. That's how efficient the government is.
Yeah, I get that. Absolutely.
Ridiculous.
I was looking at. I'm trying to find the part in his press conference yesterday where he was trying to explain in his own special way how and why the Democrats lost. And I was trying to look for the literal reading of it, but I've got an article up here. He says, well, what he said was, one of the issues, they were asking how it was the Democrats lost, really. And he said, one of the issues the Democrats have to be clear on one of the issues the Democrats have to be clear on is, given population distribution across the country, we have to compete everywhere. Now, this is his community organizer mode here. We have to show up everywhere. We have to work at a grassroots level, something that's been a running thread in my career. All right? I won Iowa not because of the demographics dictated that I would win Iowa. It was because I spent 87 days going to every small town, fair, and fish fry and VFW hall. And there were some counties where I might have lost, but maybe I lost by 20 points instead of 50. There are some counties maybe I won that people didn't expect because people had a chance to see me and listen and get a sense of who you stood for and what you're fighting for.
Yeah, guess who didn't do that?
But instead, the Clinton campaign, and we said this is the reason I'm bringing it up, because I like to brag. I'm in a boasting mode right now. We were so right on so much of this stuff, and so many other people were just so dead wrong. But it goes on to say that the Clinton campaign falsely assumed it could ride on the coattails of Obama's approval ratings and previous success in grassroots campaigning without having to do any of the work themselves. Okay, so what happened, and we were talking about that. We said this was going to be about her riding in on the popularity of Barack Obama and even her husband, Bill Clinton, and then to float the personalities out there that people liked. Uncle Joe Biden, the old...
Look at her, John. What did she do? She would go out, she would do an event, maybe 4 days later doing another event, and then maybe a couple days after that do another event. She'd take whole weekends off.
Yeah, I in the CBS interview with Donald Trump Sunday night, I think he said they did the last 2 weeks of the campaign, they did something like 67 rallies. He mentions specifically the last rally they did, I think it was in Ohio or Iowa, someplace out in the Midwest. They did at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it was in Michigan.
Oh, was it Michigan? 1 o'clock in the morning, 31,000 people showed up.
Yeah, here it is. Right, I know. I did my final speech in Michigan at 1 o'clock in the morning, and we had 31,000 people and many people outside the arena. And I felt when I left, I said, "How are we going to lose?" We set up the day before, and we had all these people, and it was literally at 1 in the morning. And I said, "This doesn't look like second place." So we're really happy. I mean, it was like, these are great people. And then Leslie Stahl goes on to bore people by talking.
Yeah. So what Clinton did what Jeb Bush did. She had the same mentality. She went out and courted the donors, the elites, the people with the money, and thought that, they've raised over $200 million just with super PACs. Now, I don't know how much money, I don't know what the final bill is for them. Maybe somewhere down the road we'll learn about it. But the point being is she thought she was like Jeb Bush. He was just going to put together a massive war chest, wait for Super Tuesday to kind of sort out the people and put them in a position that didn't have any money and couldn't continue to run. I really want to know when this is all said and done. I'm sure somewhere someone will look it up. How much money Donald Trump actually spent?
Well, it'll be at opensecrets.org. You can find it there. I'm sure it's all written down there. You just have to punch the numbers.
Oh, it would just be interesting, you know.
It's kind of funny, though. She did that. You would have thought she would have got a clue when she had to struggle to beat that curmudgeon guy, Bernie Sanders, in a primary that they had to cheat to win. But now, the best part of this is what happens now with this foundation that was founded and kept running on the assumption that Hillary Clinton was going to be president. So these people were paying them money for power and influence to that foundation. What's going to happen with that now?
Yeah. And the whole thing just feeds this bigger narrative that I keep driving home, because we as the electorate really have to understand what did actually take place this election cycle, because the media hasn't figured it out yet. The elitists haven't figured it out, and apparently Clinton never figured it out either. She went after the money and the influence and the connections of the very establishment that the rest of the country on both sides of the political asylum were rejecting. Bernie Sanders did as well as he did because those millennials out there that are protesting right now didn't want the same thing. They didn't want business as usual. The Trump movement didn't want business as usual. Where they're tired, people are tired. We're tired of being marginalized. They were tired of the corruption. They were tired of the status quo in Washington on both sides of the aisle. Clinton seemed to think that her money was going to trump that. It was going to push that out of the way. Once Sanders was removed, everybody would get over their little temper tantrums, and they would all side up with Hillary because she was going to be the first woman president.
Yeah.
and it didn't work. It didn't work.
No, not at all. I mean, in fact, and the reason why it was even as close as it was is because of the media wanted her to be president. I mean, for crying out loud, if she didn't have them, she wouldn't have been this close as it was.
Oh, yeah. Let's take what you just said, Joe. Let's put this in complete context, everybody. Let's just think about this for a minute. We had somebody completely, for all intents and purposes, outside the political establishment. Now, he played the establishment when he needed political favors, but I'm talking about somebody that was actively involved in politics. He was not. Okay, he overcame that. He overcame 16 other candidates that were all more established and had better reputation within the establishment circles. Anyone,
and had held offices previously.
Yeah, and even Ted Cruz was in a more viable category in terms of being in office, having some experience, understanding a little bit how the system works, or I think he understands very well how it works. But the point being, everybody else that took that stage had some connection with the political system in this country actively, whether through office or through activism or whatever. Now, let's take that and say, okay, he overcame that. He overcame opposition from these establishments on both sides of the political asylum. Yep. And he overcame the media. The media who is probably the most influential force in the country right now, whether you like it or not. Very influential. And he overcame all those things, and he overcame the money. He overcame it all and won. That just demonstrates, it exemplifies just how much of a shift this country went through in terms of not giving a rat's ass about what's going on in the political circles. Let's put somebody up there that's audacious, bodacious, rude, crude. Yeah, let's get somebody that talks like we do. Let's get somebody that thinks like we do, and let's see if we can't stop this mess. That is it in a nutshell. And I'm still listening to the media trying to explain this away within the media template of thinking.
And the other thing is, he defeated the Obama, the Clinton, and the Bushes.
Yeah.
The three political families that have been in control of our politics for the past 25 years.
Yeah, and he beat them all handily, especially the Bushes. He put them to sleep real early.
Yeah.
So, anyway, all right, look, we're at the bottom of the hour here already. I can tell this is going to be a fast day. This is going to be a fast day. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Red State Talk Radio. WRS Cleveland.
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you. And they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Am I not speaking English?
The ConservativeSyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. Let me get back. We were talking here about the break, about, the Clintons, just like everybody else out there in the elitist world of politics, completely misread the tea leaves. I like using that phrase because it kind of kills two birds with one stone. It reignites the idea that the Tea Party, though at this point in time perhaps a little bit more discombobulated and disorganized, but at least they had the right idea. And this whole idea that everybody missed it. What happened here? I want to bring back here Barack Obama's response yesterday at his press conference when he was asked about the harsh words that were exchanged between him and Donald Trump during the campaign here. And I'll read you the question here. This is from Martha Raddatz, one of the staples over there at ABC News. When George Stephanopoulos is on vacation, we got to listen to this raghead. All right, now, the question was, some of the, thanks, Mr. President, apparently something inaudible here. Some of the harsh words you had about Mr. Trump, calling him temperamentally unfit to be commander-in-chief. Did anything surprise you about President-elect Trump when you met him in your office? And also, I want to know, does anything concern you about a Trump presidency? Now, this is Barack Obama's response here. And I think the tone of it was almost envious. He was kind of, here's what he says. What's clear is that he was able to tap into, yes, the anxieties, but also the enthusiasm of his voters in a way that was impressive. And I said so to him because I think that to the extent that there were a lot of folks who missed the Trump phenomenon, that's what we were calling it, the Trump phenomenon. I think that connection that he was able to make with his supporters, that was impervious to events that might have sunk another candidate. That's powerful stuff. Now, what he's saying is everything, all the tactics, all the strategies that would have sunk any other candidate, given the fact that they're all political establishment types, none of that pierced the hearts and the ears of people that supported Donald Trump.
Yeah, because impervious to events.
Yeah, I love that. Impervious. Impervious to events. That means the Trump supporter people, the Trump supporters didn't fall into the trap. They stuck to their guns. As I said yesterday, it's a phrase I think I'll probably keep using here. They didn't care if Donald Trump had a harem of Miss Universes and a marketed moonshine for the KKK. They didn't care about any of that. What they cared about was, we are tired of being marginalized. We are tired of the corruption. We're tired of a government that works on its own behalf and does nothing for the people. Period. End of subject, end of story. And let's not forget, that was Donald Trump. That was Barack Obama's strategy when he ran for office back in 2008. So Trump, basically, if you really want to be realistic about it, Trump came in with his own hope and change campaign, and it just trumped the hell out of what Obama had been selling the nation, because Obama's campaign and subsequent administration was nothing about hope and change. It was about change, but it wasn't about hope. It was about, I guess it was his hope. My hope and change is that I can fundamentally transform the United States into a third world banana republic that will, submit and allow itself to be put under my dictatorship. Okay, that's what that was all about. I am the president. I decree, and everybody else just gets it done. I remember I was thinking here, Joe. I don't know how much you followed
Fernando Marcos's reign when he was over in the Philippines. Were you ever really interested, or did you ever follow that guy at all?
I just know that he was. Well, Obama wish he could have been that guy. Actually.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. He was a character, and he had a phrase. It was a catchphrase, and I think about it every time I watch Star Trek reruns. The newer versions of Star Trek, the one with Picard, Captain Picard, right? Mm-hmm. And they had to change. I don't know why they felt they had to, but they had to change the commands to make it sound more, I don't know, politically correct or whatever. And what he would say is something like, if Captain Kirk wanted something done, the original Star Trek, and he would say. He would give the command to do something, and Picard changed it. It was like, make it so. Make it so. That was a command. They'd say, well, he'd give an order, set the course for so-and-so and so-and-so, and engage on my order, all right? And so then he'd go, make it so, instead of saying what the traditional way of saying it. But my point is, Marcos had a line, make it happen. That was his favorite line. He would tell somebody would come up to him and say, this is the circumstances, this is the situation. He would assess it, make a decision, and then he would look at his people and go, make it happen. And that was it. And that's what Barack Obama wanted. Barack Obama wanted an administration where he just decrees and then says, make it happen. And because it's the right thing to do. All right. So anyway, I'm having fun today. My mind is going in circles today because I am what's the word? Giddy. I'm really giddy watching everybody chase their tails right now, trying to figure out what the hell happened. It's funny. It's funny. And then you brought up something yesterday, Joe. I wanted to throw this back out there because you brought up a point that I said we're going to keep reiterating this to our listeners. The second part of this answer to the question about the temperament of Donald Trump, he says, do I have concerns? Absolutely. Of course I've got concerns. He and I differ on a whole bunch of issues. But the federal government and our democracy is not a speedboat. Yeah, see, there's that word again, democracy.
Yeah, that's the one. That's where that set me off yesterday, yes.
Yeah, so then he turns around, which really was the purpose of the press conference yesterday, to again tout all of his accomplishments. All right? He says, I'll use as an obvious example where we have a difference, but it will be interesting to see what happens in the coming year. And that's the Affordable Care Act. See, he doesn't call it Obamacare anymore. Remember when he used to say, I'm kind of like that word now. He doesn't use it anymore. All right? Obviously this has been the holy grail for Republicans for over the last 6-7 years, was we got to kill Obamacare. Now that that has been taken as an article of faith, that this is terrible, it doesn't work and we have to undo it. But now the Republicans are in charge. They got to take a look and say, let's see. And then he goes into his thing. We got 20 million people who have health insurance who didn't have it before. Health care costs generally have gone up at a significantly slower rate since Obamacare was passed before they... All right. Now, guys, a lesson in liberal doublespeak. All right? He can't deny that the rates have gone up. So he has to play it down. They've gone up, but at a slower rate since Obamacare was passed. I don't know, 73% rise in cost and prices over a period of what? 5 years? I don't know of anything that has risen that fast.
Well, and then the rest of that line, which has saved the federal treasury hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
You know what? If you didn't have Obamacare, you wouldn't have had to save the treasury any dollars.
Yeah, and exactly. You're exactly right. And people who have health insurance are benefiting in all sorts of ways that they may not be aware of. See, this is the narrative of Barack Obama. The economy has recovered. You just don't know it. Okay? More people are covered. You just don't know it. The costs may be rising, but the trade-offs have been great. You just don't know it. Okay? So everything from having lifetime limits on the claims that they can make to seniors getting prescription drug discounts? I can tell you, and I've already recited that, I won't do it again, the prescription costs on drugs is phenomenal. We have my wife 700% increase on a copay. I'm not even talking about the drug itself. I'm talking about the copay from $70 for a 3-month supply to $700. Okay, and she's a senior. She's on Medicare. Don't sit there and tell me that the cost of prescriptions is lower. And then they tout out the big one. Though I guess this is the buzzword. Free mammograms. Who the hell cares? I don't need a mammogram. Do you need a mammogram, Joe?
Not today. No, thank you.
Okay.
I'm trying to cut back. I'm trying to keep my boobs from getting smashed today.
Well, it's just, you tout those little things out there. The mammograms, what's that? They're alluding to what? Planned Parenthood.
Parenthood.
Okay. So all this, it's just, and he does this all throughout the press conference, coming back to a place. How are you going to replace it? Are you going to change the policy that kids can stay on their parents' health insurance plan until they're 20? At 26-year-olds, you're not a kid. All right?
Well, although you may act like one.
Yeah, you may act like one. You may be out there protesting right now and playing with Legos at your nearby university, but you're not a kid.
Hoping to play with your little pet doggy who's going to make you feel better.
Yeah. If, on the other hand, whatever they are proposing results in millions of people losing coverage and results in people who already have health insurance losing protections that were contained in legislation. Hey, dude, we lost protections in through the Obamacare, through the Affordable Care Act. That's why people who had it had to let it go, because they lost a lot of the benefits. They weren't covered under it anymore. Okay, so we traded off whatever we traded off so that we could all have maternity leave. This is sick.
And then he sticks him with the next line, John.
Let's see, what's that? We're gonna have a problem.
No, well, he goes, and I think it's going to be unique to me. I think the American people respond that way. So I think a lot of issues, what you're going to see is now comes the hard part. Now is governance. You get that, Donnie? You're going to have to govern now.
Yeah, and then turn around and then follow that up. This is the line that got me. We are going to be able to present to the incoming administration a country that is stronger.
Oh, gee.
A federal government that is working better and more efficiently. A national security apparatus that is both more effective and truer to our values, his values, not our values. Energy policies that are resulting in not just less pollution, but also more jobs. What country is he talking about?
I don't know, Venezuela. I don't know. Meanwhile, I'm paying 700% more for a couple cables because I have to use their efficient government system.
Yeah. I mean, if what you're telling us is true, Mr. Obama, then how in the hell is it that you guys just got your ass whooped? Why aren't the people in the street celebrating that Hillary Clinton is going to be a third Obama term and all the great stuff you did is still going to be preserved. It's going to be held in place because it's just so damn good.
Yep.
How delusional can you get? We got to go on a break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, Real Conservative Talk from Real Conservatives. We're glad to have you with us, and I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. I just got a note from Don Dix. I just want to mention this real quick because I wondered when it was going to get rowdy down here in Southern Cal. Okay, I know up north, the Berkeley crowd, they're always, they're walking point out on all these protests and the Occupy Wall Street and the Black Lives Matter and the sanctuary cities and all the other crap that goes on up there on a regular basis. I wondered when it was really going to hit down here. But Don had just sent me a quick note here that he might be late getting on the show because he's got to get back from his office. And because there's students out there trying to shut down the 91 freeway.
Run them over.
Yeah, and then he types about 10 minutes later, he types in, never mind. So apparently whatever the obstacle was, it has been removed. And I was thinking, did you see that little video that's gone viral out there about the protester that ventured out in the street last night and got run over?
Good. That's all I can say is good.
Yeah, it was...
it's a rioter, and fine. Yeah. Get out of the street, moron.
Yeah, and it was some kind of video out there. USA 365 News. Where was it at? It was I-95. And that's your neck of the woods, isn't it?
I-95. Yeah, it's over up and down the East Coast. Yep.
Yeah,
it could be. Well, like we said the other day, we're going to find these places. It's where did we have any uprisings and any kind of issues going on throughout the summer campaign of this? That's exactly where you're going to find these riots go on because.
Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't the 95. It's out here in California, Interstate 5 down La Jolla. That's down San Diego.
Yeah, that's you guys, man.
Yeah. Okay. Education, not deportation. They were shouting as long as the guy got run over. Okay. A woman walked out into the line of traffic and was struck by a car.
Go figure.
Then the crowd shouted, "Get the F off the highway." Well, the law of physics, my dear.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, just like some things we're not going to hear about too much longer. One being the Electoral College, the other is voter fraud. We probably won't hear about voter fraud for another 3.5 years. And then the Electoral College. We're not going to hear about that in a little bit either because the Democrats know that they're going to. Although I think it was Boxer that decided to put out some kind of amendment or a bill today to get rid of the Electoral College.
Oh yeah, I know. Did somebody actually submit a bill?
Yeah, one of your California buddies out there. What's her name? I think it's Feinstein or Boxer, one or the other.
Well, it wouldn't have been Boxer because she's on her way out. It would have had to have been Feinstein.
Could have been her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, it doesn't really matter because it ain't going to happen because you need 3/4, 3/4 of the Senate and the House, and and 2/3 of the states to go ahead and change that constitutional amendment. But I like what Trump had to say about this thing. If the election were based on total popular vote, I would have campaigned in New York, Florida, and California, and that's it.
Well,
and that's what we were talking about before. That's the reason why we have it. Otherwise, other states wouldn't have a say in it. Just the huge population centers would be that, and everybody else would have to follow what those asshats have to say.
Well, I stand corrected. I just looked it up. Barbara Boxer's the one launching the bill.
See, I told you.
I guess her parting shot, as she leaves.
No, and don't call me ma'am.
Yeah.
Call me senator. I'm sure I've earned it. Yeah, you sure have, you ignorant. And what?
I wish we had an electoral college out here in California when this bimbo was elected.
Well, I mean, again, you wouldn't have heard a thing about the electoral college had Hillary Clinton won.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. But and it is one of the things in Donald Trump's interview with 60 Minutes the other night. And what was her name? Leslie Stahl was her name. Who was it interviewed her?
Leslie Stahl. Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. And she was, she asked him about the Electoral College. You said the game was rigged. Donald Trump, I guess, at one time said he didn't like the idea of the Electoral College, but she said, without it, you wouldn't have got elected. And he kind of hee-hawed around a little, but he did come out and say, "Well, I'm not going to change my views on it just because I won." Which is the proper stance to take. You're not just going to change because I won. So everything I was saying to get elected doesn't mean anything. Now you're just like the other guy, the other gal in this case. But anyway, we'll hear. It'll be a little bit of noise for a little while. Give Barbara Boxer something to talk about as they're packing up her office. But we won't hear about it again until the next election cycle. I guarantee you, the Democrats. I bet you they even put it in their platform next time around. That we need that constitutional amendment. But the point being is, the Democrats really will never try to do anything by constitutional amendments. They'll never go through the process because they'll never get 3/4 of the Senate and 2/3 of the state to go with whatever it is they want. It just won't happen because people inherently know that it's the only people that go along with it are the ones that are just as dumb and stupid as they are. But apparently, the Trump election showed us one thing. America may not just be as stupid as we thought it was,
I mean, a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, as long as we keep having people like John McCain getting elected into the freaking Senate over and over again, I'm not having a lot of confidence in a lot of this. I mean, because it's the same thing, and you expect something different out of it. That is insanity.
Yeah, well, here's one for you. We're talking about insanity here. They're touting out there right now Keith Ellison to head up the DNC.
Yes, go for that, because that would be really outstanding. Mr. Ellison, who's been admired by CARE, the unindicted co-conspirators of the 9/11 attack, and the Muslim Brotherhood, no less. So if the Democrat Party wants to go ahead and keep on rolling down the Muslim path, go right ahead with that.
Well, isn't that the irony? The irony and the irony of idiocracy is that the people that want to legislate lawlessness want a guy who's a proponent of Sharia law to run their party.
Yep.
I mean, can nobody feel? That's like those idiots that go out there, the gay pride people, walking around with their signs, Islam and LBGT unite.
Yeah. Yeah, coexist. That ain't going to happen, man.
Yeah, they'll unite all right. They'll unite as they're cutting off your head.
As they're throwing you off a building. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Look, we're at the top of the hour already. Time for the Edwards Notebook. Pay some bills, and we'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Stripping money from the U.S. military budget to pour into government school systems is simply exacerbating two major problems. Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, government schools in America have for years received enough money to ensure that more money is spent per student throughout the Republic than almost any other nation on earth. Yet, overall, America ranks 30th in the world in education quality, proving that spending the most money does not ensure the highest quality. Especially since the actual goal of American government school educators is to indoctrinate American students into being glorified, socially conscious globalists. who are more in league with the United Nations, open borders, and climate change dogma than reading, writing, arithmetic, and true American history. In addition, the stripping away of needed funding from what has been the best military in the world has produced massive shortages in needed supplies at every level. Thus, the military is now at best heavily strained in the effort to protect America and maintain stability throughout the world. Hopefully, the scenario of double trouble is soon corrected through a return to providential guidance and an appreciation for America the Beautiful. I'm Ron Edwards.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Hey, all you can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
It's a latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
All right. We're back. Hour two right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives, and we're glad you took the time to join us this afternoon. And we were talking all, just kind of hodgepodge of things the last hour here. I think this hour we'll get more into. I really do want to spend some time talking about Donald Trump's interview on Sunday on 60 Minutes. There's a couple of things that I think, he handled himself pretty well. But there's a couple of things that kind of concern me. The way he responded, kind of almost, I would say, for a lack of a better term, hesitant to just come, with that Donald Trump style of in your face. A couple of things out, especially when they were talking about prosecuting Hillary Clinton. I think that this is something I truly believe that if he does not at least make the appearance that he's going to go after her, he's going to do himself some damage, much more than if he goes after her, which the media is trying to say if he does, that will damage him. And see, they still haven't figured it out, or they're still in denial that, their little template, their little way of thinking is that, you go after you go after Hillary Clinton now. Now we know you're doing it just because you're a sexist. That'll be the argument. Not that all of a sudden her corruption is not the forefront of wanting to go after her. But I really think he has to at least put out the appearance that he's going to try to go after her. And I'm not sure how he's going to deal with that. I'm looking at here. I don't know if you're scanning while I'm talking, Joe, but he was asked about that. And I'm going to see if I scroll through here. And anyway, I'm scrolling through. Are you scrolling, Joe?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah, like, the thing is I don't think he's just showing his cards right now. To be quite honest.
Well, that was one of the things I heard. She asked him, can you tell us some of the people that you're going to put in place? And he said no. And she said, oh, come on. And he just. No. And I think that's going to be a lot of the things that are going on. He's not going to come out and tell everybody what he's doing before he gets in office. It'll give him too much time to prep to start attacking it once he does. Here it is. Oh, let me review here. And when we go to break here, we'll get back to that. But about the Electoral College. We were talking about that before the break here. Mm-hmm. Leslie Stahl. She starts out saying, for months you were running around saying that the system is rigged, the whole thing is rigged. You tweeted once that the Electoral College is a disaster for democracy. Again, we're not talking about a democracy. It probably is a disaster for democracy, but that's not what we are. Trump, I do. See, he didn't catch that. I think this guy's got some things to learn. So do you still think it's rigged? Well, I think the electoral, look, I won with the Electoral College. She says, exactly, but do you think? He says, and she goes, is it rigged? Trump says, yeah, some of the election locations are. Some of the system is. I hate it. And she says, even though you won, you're saying that. Trump says, this is Trump. I hate it. Well, I'm not going to change my mind just because I won. But I would rather see it where you went with simple votes. You get 100 million votes and somebody else gets 90 million votes and you win. There's a reason for doing this because it brings all the states into play. Electoral College, and then there's something very good about that. But this is a different system, but I respect it. I do respect the system. So he's expressing that he, too, would prefer popular vote over the Electoral College system. But here's the deal. One thing we probably never will know is how many of those votes were fraudulently gained. We have no idea. The big states, remember when they were talking about going into Texas? The Democrats were going to go into Texas because somehow they'd figured out that they could turn Texas blue.
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened? The machines were rigged. How about Pennsylvania? They had a problem. What happened? The machines were rigged. Or was it Virginia? Was it Virginia?
Oh, they had a problem in Pennsylvania, too.
Yeah. And in these states, I can't help but think, I can't help but wonder why they threw some of the money. Arizona. Why did the Democrats throw so much money in Arizona? Because somewhere in there, I just know, sure as I'm sitting here, the system, the machines were being rigged. Absentee ballots were being created rather than obtained. There was voter fraud going on, and I'm wondering just how much of her popular vote was tied up in fraudulent absentee ballots or mail-in ballots and rigged machines that needed to be, quote-unquote, recalibrated. And we'll never know that because nobody wants to reveal that. But I don't believe that Hillary Clinton actually won the popular vote because I think a lot of it was fraudulent. And
how many illegals are voting in California?
Yeah. There's a ton of them out here, and we know that. Okay, but the votes out here in California didn't sway the election one way or the other. We
It's
knew
just
where that
one
was going.
state, and that's the point. But that's where she picks up a lot of her popular vote count is in California.
Yeah, you're right there. You're absolutely right.
They called it with they only had like 5% of the vote, and they called it for. Yeah. I mean, for crying out loud, they didn't even you got 95% to go, and it's all for Hillary. Blah blah. California's a lost cause.
All right, man, we got to go to our break here. That was a short segment. We'll go to a quick break here. We'll come back. Don Dix from Act for America will be with us. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing, and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language. American. All right, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, and we have with us none other than the great Don Dix out there from the Inland Valley. And Don, I understand we were joking about your little note that you sent us earlier. What was going on out there in 91?
Well, I heard a news. How you doing, John?
Good.
I had heard a news report on the radio that there was a traffic tie-up around University, which crosses the 91 freeway that I drive coming back from doing our daily show on my way to connect with you. And the news report was essentially saying there was police activity due to a large anti-Trump protest that possibly had spilled onto the freeway, and they were citing backups. So I didn't know what I was getting ready to encounter, so I shot you a quick note. But happy to report that whatever was going on had been moved away from the freeway, and there was no backup. But this is emblematic of what's going on across this country right now, as the sore losers are writhing in their political pain about what unfolded in America on November the 8th. It's just such a great thing to see these folks twisting in the wind over what they think is such a bad deal for America. Clearly, it's a bad deal for their ideology, but unfortunately, they didn't. They obviously skipped the class on the Constitution.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody was dangled some Legos and Play-Doh out there.
Exactly. This is just it's refreshing, actually, in a way, to see these folks rebuked in the way that they're being rebuked by not just Donald Trump's victory, but in the 6 days since then, they're going apoplectic about some of his appointments, about the way that the first 6 days of the Trump transition is unfolding, which is probably a pretty good indicator that this is going to continue. This is not something that's going to end right away.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking about some of the issues that are going to remain on the forefront. Of course, the current one right now is the Electoral College thing. But I want to throw at you something Joe brought up yesterday. We talked a little bit about it earlier on the show here, but maybe we'll get your take on this. The buzzwords out there from the left regarding Trump's appointment of Steve Bannon from Breitbart as one of his senior advisors, that he has appointed a quote-unquote white nationalist. What does that phrase mean to you? I mean, we've determined that it's something that was just kind of made up, to kind of brand people, like racist and bigot or whatever. But have you given any attention to that little catchphrase?
Well, not specifically what I would consider to be an accurate definition. They're using it as an insult, essentially. They're that and a couple of other phrases that are all part of what appears to be, to me, John, the talking points that have been universally disseminated throughout the media, because the same phrases are showing up, whether it's CNN or NBC or any of these mainstream media organizations that are trying to use Steve Bannon's appointment as a cudgel to beat Donald Trump over the head with. And I've got a couple of, so first of all, it clearly sends a signal that the press and the media did not get the message of November 8th. They're still collectively, organized against us. But I think the other thing it shows you is that according to the old military phrase, the flak is always heaviest when you're over the target. So obviously this is something that is again, exposing the media for who they are. And there's a piece of me that begins to wonder, since Bannon is the strategist, that is he and the high-profile strategist, at least, he and Kellyanne, these are the folks that guided his campaign over the last 6 months. So clearly they did something right, because their calculations about the states to focus on, where to move their assets, the messages that they should be saying at these rallies was spot on. And the fact that Steve Bannon is getting this kind of abuse suggests that they're afraid. I mean, the 8 years that Obama has been the president and advanced that progressive narrative, they collectively realize that their day in the sunshine is coming to an end.
Yeah, and if I have any beef about Steve Bannon, is that somebody needs to give that guy a haircut and a shave.
Right.
He needs to clean up a little bit. Just he kind of reminds me of the Unabomber,
This guy went to Virginia Tech. He spent 10 years in the Navy. He was a Goldman Sachs executive. He was a successful Hollywood producer and director. Obviously, you could use maybe the term guru in connection with how he has steered Breitbart and navigated that organization. And I think the centerpiece of this is the Don Lemon segment where Joel Pollak is standing up for his prior comrade, if you will, and they can't throw anything specific at Joel. He defeats every single argument, and when they throw the few articles up that seem to support their narrative, Joel beats it back by saying, look, these weren't necessarily articles that were supporting a particular point of view. We were reporting on it, something CNN has forgotten how to do. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. That was 3-on-1 and they still lost.
Yeah.
I know, right? So I think part of what's unfolding during this transition period that I'm keen to try to pay attention to is that as a strategist, the goal during this transition period is to allow the media is to create these disguised sort of pits that the media is going to walk over and fall into. And I think this is the first one. And I think there's going to be more coming down the road as, because Donald Trump made no secret that part of the rigging he talked about in his many rallies is the fact that the media is so far in the tank for the progressive agenda, for the Clinton campaign, that they don't even realize how far extended they are. And all they're doing is giving them more fodder to continue to hang themselves with.
Well, that will work to his advantage, won't it? When he finally starts trotting out the things he wants to do and the media starts coming after him, he can just basically say, look, guys, they hated me in the primaries, they hated me in the general election, and now they hate what I do. It's going to be... Now, Obama tried to do that several times, but it fell on deaf ears because everybody knows the media was in a tank for him. I was surprised how many times he tried to use the media, blame the media for his shortcomings, when in fact... Nobody in the media was touting Barack Obama's shortcomings. That was pretty amazing. But I think this time it might just work. I wanted to ask you just off the top of my head here while you were talking here. The rumors that I'm hearing out there is that Kellyanne Conway will be the press secretary. What do you think? I think that would be an excellent move, don't you?
I think Kellyanne could be a great pick. I think that the one that I've actually read that's hit the media today is Laura Ingraham is now in conversations, and it's being rumored that Laura Ingraham might even be in the running for that position. If you remember back to the Republican convention, Laura Ingraham delivered what I thought was one of the highlight speeches of the Republican convention. Since then, she's been on, had any number of appearances outside of her own radio show where she has done a tremendous job of articulating what's unfolding. She's got a good head on her shoulders. Obviously, having the run that she's had as a talk show host has done her good stead because, you got to do nothing but talk there. And that's, in fact, where Mike Pence got his start. He was, I think, for 6 years a radio talk show host before he segued into a political career. So, I think that Laura Ingraham could be equally good. And if Kellyanne Conway doesn't end up getting that position, I think there's something even better in store for her in the future. She doesn't necessarily, in my opinion, have to be in the public spotlight because she's as, I think, brilliant a tactician as Steve Bannon was, because the two of them together deserve the yeoman's credit for, navigating the campaign during that period.
Yeah, I would think my choice. I think was it Valerie Jarrett? She's chief of staff, right?
Yes.
Okay, and he's chosen Reince Priebus as chief of staff, which I'm not particularly excited about, but I do understand why he would pick him. That gives him that bridge to the establishment that he's going to need without actually having to. Concede too much. I think Priebus knows how to play both sides of the fence, but I would think that Conway. I would love her because I think Laura Ingraham is good, but I've watched this Kellyanne Conway stand face to face with the opposition time after time, and she does not rattle. She does not get taken off message. She does not let them move her where they want to move her.
In fact, she's masterful at the pivot where she takes things and then throws it back in their face in a way that makes them very difficult to bat the ball back.
Yeah, where Ingram.
I think they're both possibly great choices.
I just think Ingram is a little bit more ideologically, I don't know, more of an ideologue than Kellyanne Conway, and she's certainly going to be much more of a target in terms of the media coming after her. Whereas Kellyanne Conway, even the opposition acknowledges that this woman is sharp. That she, right. So I hope they make the right move there. Anyway, Joe, do you got any thoughts on whether Laura Ingraham would be good or not?
I think she would probably do an all right job. I heard that, like Don was saying, I have heard that rumor that Laura Ingraham has been out there, and she would not confirm or deny that on a recent appearance on the networks. So who knows? I mean, she paid a price. I mean, she got. I don't know if you remember on Bill Maher's show, right at the beginning, she was absolutely laughed at when she said, out of the announced candidate, who has the best shot of winning? She goes, Donald Trump. And they just absolutely laughed at her unceasingly.
Yeah.
Look who's laughing now.
I know that I'm not sure about Laura Ingraham. I know Ann Coulter early on in the process did the same thing, and that's featured.
What's Coulter? Yeah.
I'm sorry. I saw a little collage this morning on CBS News. They played a collage of all these pundits out there when other people said, Donald Trump was going to win. And the one that stood out to me was Ann Coulter when she was on Bill Maher.
Yeah, that's what it was.
And they almost laughed her out of the house. I mean, but yeah, it's funny. The irony of this whole thing, I just can't get over it. I've been so giddy just because of just watching these people melt down. It's just great. Even Don Lemon last night on CNN, I watched him for a few minutes. He was rather subdued. He wasn't, it was kind of like, at times it seemed like he was fighting to find words. And that's with a teleprompter sitting in front of you, So it's very indicative of some things. I wanted to ask you one other thing about his selection so far, Don. We got about a minute and a half here.
Sure.
Prince Rebus. What do you think the thought is behind that? Why did Trump choose him?
Well, I think a big part of what he's facing right now, of course, is this party unity thing with the establishment that clearly has a large presence in Congress, a large presence in the Senate. I think Reince Priebus did a yeoman's job once it was apparent that Donald Trump was going to be the nominee. I think Reince Priebus did a masterful job of bringing the party together, of keeping a cool head. I have, really no problems with, bringing in someone like that as chief of staff. I think that there's a lot of, Donald Trump throughout his career has showed an innate sense for being able to pick. There's a great example. I don't think I have time to bring it up, but he's demonstrated an innate sense for picking people for the right reasons, and he doesn't have any trouble saying you're fired. So if something happens down the road where his selections become marginalized for whatever reason, I don't think he'll have any trouble of bringing in the second string for those positions.
Okay, well, that makes sense, and I'll get Joe's take on that when we come back here, because Joe and I haven't really talked about this, but we got to go to a break right now. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We've got Don Dix from Act for America. We'll be right back.
Talk Radio, WRS Cleveland.
Ever wonder how the credit card companies make their money? Well, think about this. If you owe $25,000 on 5 different credit cards and you make your minimum payments every month, here's what it's going to cost you. Are you sitting down? You'll shell out over $13,000 in additional interest, and it's going to take over 13 years to pay off your original $25,000 balance. That's how they make money. Now it's your turn to fight back by calling the Debt Solutions Network. We'll work on your behalf to reduce your debt. We specialize in credit cards, retail store cards, and medical bills. We promise we can and will reduce your debt. Call right now for a free 15-minute debt analysis. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392. 800-709-4392.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907.
If you've got joint pain, let me ask you a question. Would you like a high-quality knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Now, just in case your reception isn't great, let me ask you again. Would you like a pain-relieving knee, back, shoulder, or ankle brace at little or no cost? Well, if you have Medicare insurance, you could qualify for these pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And these are high-quality braces. They are very comfortable, and they've helped thousands relieve their pain. Now, I'd like you to imagine going on vacation, playing with your grandkids, just living your life again without pain. The Mobility Hotline is a referral service that connects folks with Medicare coverage and other insurance to accredited companies offering pain-relieving braces at little or no cost. And don't you worry about the Medicare paperwork. They'll handle it all for you, and they'll deliver your braces for free. Call the Mobility Hotline now. The call's free. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150. 1-800-557-6150.
Am I not speaking English?
The Conservative Syndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. Okay, hey, we're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. We've got Don Dix from Act for America with us, has his own show out there in the Inland Valley, out there at AM 590, The Answer. And Don, Joe, I want to get Joe up here real quick here, post it out here on our little timeline here. What's this article you got here, Joe? Is there been a formal announcement about Laura Ingraham, or are we still looking at the potential?
Yeah, we're still looking at the potential. This is from the Hill. Really, if the establishment, Republicans want something to come out, they put it on the Hill, basically. And it says conservative radio host Laura Ingraham under consideration to be Trump's press secretary. And that's a tweet that they put out. But that was put out 3 days ago, which was, we already know that. So nothing official. But, to get back to Don's point about Mr. Trump doesn't have any qualms about saying you're fired. Mike Rogers has left the Trump team. And, just like Christie was asked to leave the Trump team. So, you're not going to play ball. Trump will make sure that you're not around.
Yeah. You bring up Mike Rogers. He was concerning to me because, of course, he was the chairman of a committee that did an investigation into the Benghazi situation, and it was interesting that Trey Gowdy, his only comment about Mike Rogers being a part of and possibly in consideration of some post within the Trump administration, was that two of the people who served also on Trey Gowdy's select committee into Benghazi, who were also on Mike Rogers' committee, refused to sign off on Mike Rogers' report, but signed off on Trey Gowdy's report. Yes. There were problems with Mike Rogers' whole approach. There were witnesses that were never interviewed. Of course, Mike Rogers did not have subpoena power that the select committee had, but it's suffice to say, I don't think Mike Rogers did an adequate job of, actually looking into that. So there's some baggage with Mike Rogers, and I was pleased to see him being put into the periphery, if not completely off the team.
Yeah, that just happened today, by the way, too, that Rogers has been shown the door. Get on with your life's work, Mike. You're not going to play here.
Yep.
Yeah, well, Joe brings up, I think, a really good point, and I think this is something that the media is really going to have a hard time dealing with, and that is Trump doesn't follow the usual political etiquette on anything. And, when the way this stuff works out in the past is that, somebody leaks something about somebody, getting canned or something like that. And then there's 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a month goes by where everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And then the people involved in the decision making walk a tight fence and don't want to divulge anything. And, there's always this back and forth. And it's how do we still refer to each other as colleagues, even though I'm about ready to put a knife in your back and everything else. Where I think Trump is just going to be, hey, you're gone. I think that's going to upset a lot of people because they're used to what I call the template, the Washington template, and I'm really hoping Trump doesn't fall into that trap of thinking that he has to walk those same lines because that's not what got him here. Which leads me to this question, Don. On the interview on 60 Minutes the other night, Leslie Stahl asked Donald Trump if he was going to fulfill what he said, and I'm going to read you the transcript here so we keep it in context. She says, are you going to ask for a special prosecutor to investigate Hillary Clinton over her emails? And are you, as you had said to her face, going to try and put her in jail? Trump didn't seem to want to just, come right out and say yes. He said, well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to think about it. I feel that I need to focus on jobs. I want to focus on health care. I want to focus on the border and immigration and doing a really great immigration bill. And I want to focus on all these other things that we've been talking about. Well, she keeps pressing him about it. You called her Crooked Hillary, and you wanted to get her in jail, and your people in your audience kept saying, lock him up. And then this was the comment that threw me. He says, she says, well, Leslie says, well, she did some bad things. You say she did some bad things. He says, yeah, she did do some bad things. And she goes, yeah, but a special prosecutor. And Trump says, I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hurt them. They're very good people. I don't want to hurt them. I'm like, what? Is he just walking the rhetorical line here? They're not good people. I don't.
I think at this point, I think we got to be patient with Donald Trump during this period because, first of all, you have President Obama who still has the levers of power within his reach. Yep. And I think that right now you're going to hear Donald Trump walking back all sorts of things because while President Obama still has control of things in this, he's a lame duck, but there's still a lot that he could do. I think that part of the strategy is, if I were Donald Trump, is to keep these people off balance during this transition period. And one of the threats that, I think we have to be conscious of is that President Obama, who has the pardon power, could pardon Hillary Clinton. Well, if Donald Trump portrays himself, obviously there's two sides to this argument. We don't know what Donald Trump said, what was discussed in that 15-minute meeting that turned into an hour and a half. It could have been anything.
Yeah.
But where I'm, looking at this right now, and I could be wrong, is that, there may be the full intention to do something like that after Donald Trump is sworn in. But until then, maybe he's just trying to keep, President Obama off balance a little bit so as to not pardon Hillary. I don't know. That's my guess, because if he comes out, with the same kind of rhetoric he used to rally the troops during the campaign, I think he almost assures Hillary Clinton of getting an Obama pardon.
Right.
Maybe this is part of a strategy to make Obama think that, well, maybe Trump's a good guy. I certainly do detect in these late days since the victory, and even in the campaign speeches leading up to November 8th, we're seeing a Donald Trump that is coachable and is morphing into what everybody at the beginning said, I wish he sounded more presidential. And clearly in those campaign events leading up to, November 8th, we were watching and listening to a different Donald Trump, one who had mastered the teleprompter that helped him stay on message, but still made it sound like sort of his stream of consciousness campaign. And now in this transition period, I think he's trying to keep the left off balance. That's what I'm going with until proven wrong. And maybe, January 20th comes and goes the first 100 days. If he does let Hillary Clinton off, I'll be proven wrong. But I think that's the default mode I'm going to be in until proven wrong.
Yeah. Do you think you concur with that, Joe?
Well, I don't think he's like I said. I don't think he's shown. I don't think he's shown his cards. I think he is keeping everything under wraps. He's keeping it, like Don said. I think he's just keeping it, nice and calm. He doesn't want to force anybody's hand because let's face it. After he's in charge, what's he going to do? He cannot condone what happened. If Obama pardons her right now, that's on Obama, and basically it's a part of his legacy is he allowed her to basically have her own set of rules. Her own set of rules were the Hillary Clinton rules where she could do whatever it is, and because she was in the position to run for president, she was able to get away with it.
Yeah.
So that's what they want to have happen. Okay, that's on Obama. I don't think Trump's going to try to force him to do that, like Don said. So I think he's just kind of laying low and not show everybody his cards. Like he wouldn't talk about what he's going to do in the Middle East, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to tell these people anything.
And the other thing is, when he does become president, what he says publicly, he can work behind the scenes, because ultimately it's going to be Congress that decides to do all that stuff. So maybe he's going to let Congress, because, Donald Trump still at this point, I mean, we've got these protests that turn into riots. We've got a seething left. And I think in this transition period, given every opportunity, like he did, for instance, on the few occasions where some Trump supporters have been pointed at as acting out against, Hispanics and Muslims, he looked right in the camera and said, knock it off. Hillary Clinton has yet to tell her supporters, hey, this isn't appropriate. Here you got Donald Trump telling a few people to stop acting out, when you got the operatives of the Democratic Party and the progressive left going ape, across America. And it's almost like, according to the media and even to President Obama, it's almost like it's not even happening.
Yeah, well, it's like they treat it as this is the norm. This is the norm. We should expect it. We should just live with this now.
Yeah, well, I happen to concur with both of you to a certain degree. I think that, perhaps that's a strategy. Don't give Obama a reason to step out and try to protect Hillary, although I'm not so sure Obama would really want to do that. But the closer to the point here is that and I agree with you, Don. This is what I've been telling, because people were asking me at a conference I was at this week, and they were asking me about this. And I would say, well, Trump has to. He has to at least make the appearance somewhere down the line here that he wants to hang Hillary, because that's what the people expected him to do. If he doesn't do what he says he's going to do, or at least make the attempt. So my thought was, turn it over to Congress and say, you go after her, and I'll abide by whatever decision you people come to, and that keeps him out of the main crosshairs, and allows and puts some power back into the hands of Congress, and let them take the heat, because they need to be taking the heat. They haven't done anything because they don't want to take the heat. We need to turn the heat up on the right people here, and so I think that would be a very viable thing. But to just turn around and walk away from her and just say, well, I won, let's just dust our hands, I think would be politically stupid, because those are the kinds of things that the people are waiting for. That's why they elected him.
Yeah, I don't think he'll just walk away. I think he'll do something after he's inaugurated.
Yeah, okay. We got to go to our break here, our short break. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We've got Don Dixon, of course, my good buddy and partner in crime, Joe Hakos. We'll be right back.
There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Am I not speaking English?
theconservativesyndicate.net, where we speak only one language, American. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I am your host, John Matthews, Mad Prophet of the Airways, along with Joe, You Can't Handle the Truth, Hakos. And we have Don Dix from Act for America. I want to move on. One of the things in the Donald Trump interview here, because this was, for all intents and purposes, my motivation for voting for Trump, and that is the Supreme Court appointments. And we know that, well, he's got to make one and perhaps 2 to 3, maybe even up to 4, depending on, how things play out here over the next 4 years. And Leslie Stahl asked Donald Trump about that and seemed to almost try to take Trump to task over the idea that he would appoint Supreme Court judges that might lead to the overturning of Roe versus Wade, like, some kind of cardinal sin. And Trump, I thought, played it very well, where he basically said, well, if, this is something, see, once Trump makes the appointments, he's really out of the picture. He can't go and try to tell the Supreme Court what to do. Obama tried to do it, and we saw that didn't always work. But here's the point, is that Trump kind of played it off and said, I think, fantastically dealt with it by saying, hey, if it happens, it happens, and it goes back to the states. And that's the way it should be. And she even pressed him on that, saying, well, but then people can't get abortions. He said, well, maybe they need to go to another state. I thought he handled that one brilliantly. So my question to you, Don, at this point, who do you think? I think Ted Cruz has already been eliminated. I guess he said he doesn't want it. So who do you think that Trump, out of that 20 people on his list, who's he going to go for? Do you have any thoughts?
I'm going to be very transparent here and tell you that the law, I'm not an attorney. I've never even played one on TV. I don't know the ins and the outs of the names that he has proposed. All I can tell you is that when he came up with his list that was developed with the help of a number of different conservative think tanks, by and large, the right said, wow, that's a dream team of possible picks. So, I know that there are certain issues that are at the top of the list that these potential judges need to be clear on. Obviously, abortion is one of them. Obviously, the Constitution, Second Amendment, all of those things are the domain, commenting on whether or not these potential judge picks are going to be originalists or, God forbid, a living constitutional theorist. Every one of them was an originalist, which is, what Scalia, we all loved about him, was that he was a very clear about the way that he interpreted the Constitution. And based on that tick list, if you will, everybody that was in his list met all of those qualifications. So as far as a favorite pick of those, I honestly, I don't have them. I haven't spent any time looking through that list and trying to filter that out. That would probably take someone like me a week to do, and I just haven't done it. But that was obviously the reason that most of us voted for Donald Trump, was that we were in fear of what would happen to the Supreme Court over the next several generations, given the opportunity that Hillary would have to move the court further left. So, thank God, November 9th, we woke up to a Donald Trump presidency because of that one issue.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know that the way the media is going to go after this, because when I looked at some of the initial stuff out there, looking at the New York Times, the way that they played it was Trump's selections consisted of 6 federal appeal court judges appointed by President George W. Bush and 5 state Supreme Court justices appointed by Republican governors. But then they go on with the tagline, this is the buzzword, all are white and 8 of the 11 are men. And so that's going to be the argument. That's going to be the argument that comes out of the leftist machine here, no matter who he selects, especially if he selects men. a man, that kind of thing. So,
well, it's a good thing that the press doesn't have the authority to go ahead and confirm these people. That's up to the U.S. Senate, which is going to be run by the Republicans.
Yeah. It remains to be seen. I'm like you, Don. I haven't really sat down and vetted the choices out there and said, okay, what would be a good one and what wouldn't be a good one, that kind of thing. I think, to be honest with you, most of us perhaps really didn't think outright that Trump was going to win the way that he did. I thought, the silent T's were going to vote and that he would pull this thing out. I didn't think it would be by the electoral margin that he did. I think he's ending up with, saw one article today, 306 of the electoral votes by the time this thing is all over.
Right.
And, that was the margin everybody thought Hillary was going to win by.
Yeah, and regarding the election, here's the other thing that I think I've really spent a lot of time ferreting out. A lot of us, particularly because you and I, John, live within California, our worldview of America and the Republican Party and conservatism in general was very fatalistic. It was, we were close to the end of the earth. But this election has revealed that, something I didn't keep track of was the undercurrent of the reaction to Obama's policies. When Obama was not on the ticket, his policies were. And in 2010, 2014, and now again in 2016, the people continued to err towards the right when it came to state legislatures, state governors, local elections. The routing that the Democratic Party has had, do you realize they only have control of 4 states? Unfortunately, John, you and I live in one of those, but they only have control of 4 states: Rhode Island, Connecticut, Oregon, and California. Other than that, the Republicans have control of over 30 states, 12 governors, 69 House seats were won. 13 Senate seats, have been lost to President Obama's policies. We have 900 state legislature seats that were turned over in favor of Republicans and conservatives. So this is a big deal. What we're really beginning to see emerge is a nationwide rebuke of liberal progressive policies. And so it even further sort of bolsters the argument that Trump, don't blow it for us, because what has occurred outside of California, Oregon, Rhode Island, is nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, I agree, and but you would never know that to listen to Obama yesterday at his press conference lay out about how much what a great country he's going to leave in the hands of Donald Trump. How everything that he's done has been so much better, and how is Trump going to repeal all this stuff? Because it's either there are treaties, there are agreements between other nations, or because he'll hurt everybody if he does everything that he says he's going to do. I found that to be just so. I don't know, but I guess that's Obama. We should be used to that by now. Anyway, we've got about a minute left here with Don today, so I wanted to give that to you, Don, to tell us what you're up to, promote your show and your organization.
Gosh, thanks. Boy, I tell you, last week has been great. We held an Act for America meeting Saturday night. We had a dose of reality, though, from a French university professor from the University of Paris come in and tell us exactly how far gone Paris and Europe is. And folks, this is no time to take a vacation. We have to be vigilant in our communities. Don't go to sleep because President Trump is going to take care of everything. Stay vigilant. We have a lot of work to do to continue this wave, if you will. So you can go get more information about Act for America at actforamerica.org. Our daily show can be heard on the internet or get our app at AM 590, The Answer. And that's our daily show, and I'm pleased to share that with Jennifer Horn, my co-host, who now has become a permanent part of The Morning Answer with Ben Shapiro, Brian Whitman, and Alicia Krause.
Outstanding. No, you're very deserving of that. Okay, we thank you so much, Don, and we'll be in touch with you again during the week. Okay,
it's always an honor. Thank you, guys.
All right. Okay, guys, we'll be back on the air tomorrow. Same time here, 3 o'clock out here on the left coast, 6 o'clock on the east coast, and somewhere is prime time all the time. Just look us up. Go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. God love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hako, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.